We've made it, college football fans. Week 0 is officially here. The game we love so much is back. Now get this shit off me! Whew, that feels much better. What's going on, Canes fans and my college football family? Now, whoa! I know some of you are shocked to see me uploading a preview video that doesn't involve the Miami Hurricanes. That doesn't happen very often on this channel, but I'm excited to let you know that I plan on covering a few additional ACC games this season, especially one like this, which is relevant when it comes to Miami Hurricanes football because we actually play both of these teams later on this season. It is week 0. You know, this is the first college football game of the year, so I am very excited to talk about it. Now, just as a quick reminder for the people who are regular viewers here, and maybe a heads up for those of you that are stopping in that are new, that have never seen the Coach Coop YouTube channel before, my preview and prediction videos are very objective. I do my best to set fandom to the side, so just keep that in mind whenever you watch these videos. I do want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room, the burning question, you know, what all of you are asking that are watching this. Why does a Miami Hurricanes fan have both a Florida State hat and a giant spear? The answer is very simple. Some of you don't know that I used to be homeless, and I found this hat in a dumpster. And you know, when you're homeless, you take what you can get. I really wanted a toboggan to try to keep my head warm, but I did find this in the dumpster, so I figured, you know, why not? And the spear I found in a thrift store. I think I paid a nickel for it. And what I would do in the wintertime is break off pieces of it and use it as fire starter. So that is the explanation as to why I have these two items in my home. And I mean, you know what they say, one man's trash is still another man's trash if it's Florida State gear. Anyways, let's get on into this preview and score prediction video. I promise we're going to dog Georgia Tech a little bit as well. I mean, I'm a neutral party. I don't like either of these squads, but we got to be honest and real with this preview. And there are multiple big storylines going into this game, but obviously one of the biggest is that it's being played in Dublin, Ireland. It's a very unique location for the first college football game of the season, and it's definitely far enough away that this isn't home field advantage for either team. And what I think is going to be cool to see is which fan base travels better all the way out to Ireland. Florida State fans or Georgia Tech fans. Florida State is coming off of a 12-0 regular season, and even though they lost a lot of players to the draft, they still have quite a bit of talent and experience on the offensive line. I mention that because Georgia Tech will be debuting a new defensive coordinator in this game, and he likes to run a pretty aggressive 4-2-5 defense. So will they be able to pressure transfer quarterback DJ Uiagalelei? And just so I don't continue to butcher his name throughout this entire video, we're going to refer to him as DJ or Doo-Doo DJ, one of the two. And speaking of quarterbacks, this should be a fun matchup to watch because some believe that Haynes King has an advantage here due to it being his second year in the offense. Will the chemistry and timing be there for DJ, who's only had one offseason at FSU? King is surprisingly mobile when needed, and he did throw 26 touchdown passes last year. But he also threw 15 interceptions. Now, keep in mind that we're only talking about regular season stats here. That's typically what I do in my preview videos because once you get into bowl games and things like that, you have opt-outs and other factors. So I mostly just look at regular season stats. Both sides did attack the transfer portal during the offseason pretty heavily, and both fan bases, from what I've seen online, appear to be confident going into this game. Now, Georgia Tech, on the other hand, is coming off a 6-6 regular season, and most aren't predicting a conference championship appearance, but a large portion of their fan base does believe that FSU is a bit overrated going into 2024, and they absolutely believe that they can hang with the Seminoles. So let's take a quick look at the history between these two teams. Florida State and Georgia Tech have faced off 27 times in total, with the Seminoles leading the series 15-11. Now, there is a tie in there way back in 1962. The most recent matchup was in 2022, and Florida State won that one 41-16. Now, here is where I would typically transition over, and we would discuss some average stats so far for both of these teams. But I don't really want to do that in a week 0 video, because I don't want to focus too much on what both of these teams did last season, because they look very different this year. I mean, heck, you have DJ who played for a totally different team last season. So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to jump on over and give you 3 keys to a victory for each squad. And let's kick it off with Florida State. Coming in at number 1, I actually think FSU should establish dominance on the ground early, given their massive advantage in the trenches. Run the ball and run it often early in this game. Give DJ plenty of easy throws to build his confidence, because practice is one thing, game day all the way over in Ireland is another. Now, I'm not saying to not be aggressive through the air, but FSU should dominate the run game. That will take some pressure off of DJ, who has big shoes to fill and lots of expectations on his shoulders. Number 2, you cannot allow King to feel comfortable running the ball. He rushed for over 600 yards last season and 9 touchdowns while averaging 6.1 yards per carry. He's more elusive than you think, so make sure he's accounted for. That's definitely going to be in the game plan for Georgia Tech. And lastly, this might sound silly, but players and coaches both that were there last season can't come out being reckless and trying to erase or make up for what happened at the end of last season. It's a new year. Focus on this season, this one game, and you just got to come out and play football. Next up is Georgia Tech, and coming in at number 1, Haynes King must keep interceptions to a minimum. I fully understand that this one is obvious and everyone talks about it, but FSU's secondary will be pretty darn good, and this is a big stage. Number 2, positive yardage and success on early downs. I actually think that Georgia Tech's offense can make this a game, but they can't end up in 3rd and long situations all afternoon. That would obviously hurt any football team, but I really think FSU will make them pay for it and force a lot of mistakes in those situations. And lastly, flip the field on these guys. Pin them deep and make them work for it. I still think that FSU might run the ball a decent amount, and if they're going to, make them march 90-plus yards down the field. And now it's time for the big moment. Let's talk about this score prediction. And man, oh man, do I take my score predictions serious. I was very close on almost every Miami Hurricanes prediction last season. But that's my team. I eat, sleep, breathe Miami Hurricanes football. So how close can we get predicting the score for a Florida State-Georgia Tech game? I have some magic numbers in mind. I do, however, like to mention the ESPN matchup predictor before we talk numbers. They give FSU a 79.7% chance of winning and Georgia Tech a measly 20.3% chance of winning this game. And at the time of filming this video, FanDuel has Florida State as a 10.5 point favorite. Now, again, that line has continued to fluctuate and move around quite a bit, and it depends on where you look. But FanDuel, the site that I like to use, not an ad, has them as a 10.5 point favorite. And one last thing I want to note, I do believe that FSU's OC is suspended for this game, so they're going to have a senior analyst who will be taking his place. Most people are going to say, hey, it's nothing to worry about, but just something I thought I should mention and maybe you might want to keep it in mind. Now, I'm going to give you my numbers, but I do have a new segment that I want to introduce this season, and it's called Max Picks. If you're new here, my wife and I adopted a dog earlier on this year. He's like a Staffy bully mix. And I want to put my picks up against his because, to be honest, he has just as much of a chance of getting it right as I do, as any of us do, because college football can be very unpredictable. So what I'm going to do is place two bowls. I'm going to have a treat, the same treat in both bowls. They're going to be marked, one for Florida State, one for Georgia Tech, and whichever one he eats first, that's who he's picking as the winner for this game. And I say whichever one he eats first because the boy loves treats. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you know he's probably going to eat both of them. So it's the one that he picks first. So we're going to let him do that. We're going to transition over to the Max Picks segment. And then I'll meet you back over here and I'll give you my numbers. All right, Max, it's time for you to make your pick. Florida State or Georgia Tech? Who's it going to be? Oh, he goes with Georgia Tech. There it is. The pick is in from Max. So that was quite fitting. Max decides to go with the underdogs. You get it? He's a dog. He went with the underdogs. But it's his choice at the end of the day. They're the same treats in the bowl. It's up to him, and he chose the Yellow Jackets. Now, Coop, what am I thinking? Because, as I said, Georgia Tech fans a lot of them are, like, scary confident going into this game. Like, it actually kind of blew me away, the amount of confidence that is oozing out of that fan base. A team that went 6-6 last season, but they believe that they take a bit of a leap this season. And the fact that, their main argument here is DJ's not had time to really gel with this team, and it's going to be year 2 for Haynes King. It's an unfamiliar environment for both squads, so nobody has home field advantage, and they firmly believe that they are going to win. I'm going to give Florida State 34. And the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, 21. That's right. I do have Florida State getting a 13-point win in Ireland over the Yellow Jackets. And I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be real. I think that Georgia Tech has the ability to make this an exciting game, at least for 1, 2, maybe 3 quarters. But I really think that Florida State is just far more talented. They're going to be more athletic. They win in the trenches. All around, Florida State does have some question marks, right? Like, again, you have DJ. Is the chemistry going to be there? But I think that they win the ground game. I think that, give DJ a quarter or two and he's going to be comfortable. I mean, maybe not. Maybe he comes out firing on all cylinders. But I do think that Georgia Tech, will be aggressive. I think that they do believe that they can hang, and they will hang for a bit. But I think that the spread is pretty close. I don't think Georgia Tech can get the win here, but who knows? The one thing that is definitely going for them is it's week 0. It's game 1. So if there is a game where you are going to upset another team, it's the first game because, they're still trying to figure everything out. I say it all the time. Practice is one thing. It's actually game day. The world will be watching because it's week 0, the first game of the season. So if an upset is going to happen, if Georgia Tech is going to be the team that they're not favored against, this would be the one. I just don't think they've got the horses to hang with Florida State for 4 quarters. And trust me, it pains me to say that. I don't like either one of these teams. I think you've probably figured that out by now. 34-21. You know how we do. I love to see participation down in the comment section. So whether you're a Miami fan, Florida State, Georgia Tech, heck, Alabama, Georgia, NC State, it doesn't matter. Here on this channel, we just like to have fun and talk college football. And yes, we do talk a little trash. It is what it is. It's part of the game. But I want to see your score predictions down below. Even if you don't have a dog in this fight, how are you feeling and why? Let's see how close you can be. Let's see if you get closer than me. Hey, as I said, maybe Max gets this game right. Maybe it is upset alert for Florida State. Let's chop it up down in the comment section below. It feels good to be back, man. It feels real good to be back. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.